Welcome back. It's that time of year again, so I'm wearing this today because I bought this at the Canucks Arena and I thought, well, might as well wear it. If I'm going to wear it, I might as well. I'd look silly if I didn't have the jersey with it. So, Christmas wishes. So, I'm going to go through all 32 teams. I'm going to go through the East first and the West second and pretend that Santa Claus is flying in a completely wrong way. I thought about doing this in a way that, he'll actually fly to all these places in order. If he does this, he's adding way too much mileage. Kids aren't going to get all their presents in time. There's no way he's going to get it done. But East here, West here. Let's charge into this. And this is really surface. I don't have anything written down. I'm not cheating off of a book. I'm just going based on what I've seen so far this year and what I think the fans would. Well, let me know in the comment section below if you're a fan of these teams. What you'd like to see is the Christmas wish for them. Philadelphia, more consistency. Now that they've moved on from Alain Vigneault, I think consistency is important. And I think for Philadelphia, that's really where they're at. I think the roster is pretty good from top to bottom. They'd like to have Ellis in there a little more than he's been in, of course. But yeah, they've honestly had some good games here and there. They had a rough schedule to start the year, and then everything fell apart, and Vigneault was gone. New York Rangers, I don't think there's much for Rangers fans to wish for right now. I think they're in pretty good shape. I think maybe an extra veteran or two via trade, just like depth players going into a playoff run. It's always handy to have those extra depth players. Eric Stahl's still out there. Just throwing that out there. Eric Stahl's still out there. I know he's got a history with the Rangers and all that. I don't know. I think as a utility guy, fourth line guy, I think he can be useful. Carolina. Not really much for Carolina to wish for Christmas, is there? Carolina's kind of got all of it. Now, of course, you wish for good health. All the teams want good health. All the teams want what's going on right now with the shutdown to pass. So all 32 teams want that. But for Carolina, I think it's important that Freddie Anderson plays a lot, that he's able to stay in the lineup. And yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot Carolina's looking for right now other than maybe a Stanley Cup in 2022. Boston, scoring depth. Yep, scoring depth, maybe a little bit of depth on the blue line too. Scoring depth's a big one for Boston. Ottawa, well, see, Ottawa, I sometimes think maybe more patience is required with Ottawa. I don't know that that's something you ask for Christmas, although this is really kind of nebulous in general, so sure. I think Ottawa's on the right path. It's just going to take a little bit longer than might have been envisioned when Melnick and Dorian made their proclamations back in 2018. So, yeah, it's just going to take a little longer. Florida, they need to find the formula they had early in the season and find a way to bring that back. They were unbeatable early in the year. It's kind of turned on them over the last month, so they're going to want to figure out if there's a switch there they can turn back on. And again, you're going to have players that have been out, all this stuff, your normal everyday stuff. Speaking of players who've been out, Pittsburgh's wish, I would think, is a healthy Evgeny Malkin. Malkin, Crosby, down the middle. Pretty hard to beat that. And now there's questions about where Jeff Carter would go once Malkin comes back because Carter's played very well. He should get top 6 minutes. Does he drop to third line center? We'll see. But I would think a healthy Evgeny Malkin is the big wish right now if you're a Penguins fan, and hoping he stays in the lineup because Malkin does miss a lot of time. Columbus, playoffs, right? So for Columbus, they've already proved a lot of people wrong just by staying in the hunt. I would think that for Christmas wish would be, hey, could we be a playoff team in 2022? Right? So outside of that, I think also maybe a wish would be, can we stop seeing star players leave Columbus? Can we start seeing more and more players committing to staying in Columbus? That might be a wish as well, right? Islanders, win at UBS. They need to start building up wins at UBS. And once we come out of the pause, hopefully they start doing it. And I say this as not an Islanders fan. People know I cheer for Boston, Vancouver, and Dallas. It's Vancouver first, Boston. You guys know what I'm talking about. So, but for me as a hockey fan watching, it's tough to watch the Islanders losing in front of that passionate fan base who are absolutely willing to do everything they can to support that team. So the Islanders, for me, it's just, get that home record back to where it should be. And that could go a long way to putting them back in the playoff race. Toronto, you guys know what Toronto's wish is. They want to plan the parade. They want to plan the parade. They want to win a Stanley Cup. And the thing is, as much as people laugh and joke about it, the reality is this is a team that absolutely should be, at least over the next few years, in the hunt for it. maybe they do end up winning that Stanley Cup. Eventually, a Canadian team has to, right? Right? Montreal, a competent way out of where they're at. So this record they have right now is historically bad. They need to find a way out of this. And whether it's a full-on rebuild or if it's the retool, whatever option it is, seeing that plan and seeing it put into motion, I think will go a long way to making fans of Montreal feel better. Buffalo, competence. It's competence, I think, for Buffalo. I don't know what that looks like, but things being settled and a game plan that looks like it's advancing and Buffalo getting closer to rather than further away from the playoffs would be big. And maybe wish for some luck in the lottery, right? If they get Shane Wright, that's going to help them out tremendously with the other players they have coming up in Peterka and Quinn, just to name a couple, and of course Luukkonen and Net. So there are reasons to be optimistic if you're a Buffalo fan, and you want a little bit more reason to be optimistic. Washington, that Ovechkin continues to defy the aging process. He has absolutely done everything in his power to stay at the top of the league with goal scoring. His workouts, from what I've seen, they get more elaborate and all of that as he gets older, because it does get tougher and tougher as you get older, to build up the muscle, to keep weight off that you don't want, and to just be able to keep up with the kids, right? So, that's what they're going to want. And, of course, Backstrom, being able to play every game going forward. And so, again, that comes back to this health thing and everything. Just, no, gone. Whatever that takes, right? Detroit. For Detroit, what would they want for Christmas? They're already in a position where they're contending for a playoff spot. That's a win. They've arguably got three of the best rookies in the rookie class with Nedeljkovic, Seider, and Raymond. So that's a win. They've got Edvinsson as one of the top prospects not yet in the NHL. Also a win. And they don't have any cap problems, so they can bring on another team's cap situation if they have to and get another draft pick in return. So Detroit's still in pretty good position to draft early in what's supposed to be a stacked 2022 draft. So really for Detroit, I don't think there's a whole lot there for them to wish for. Just continued upward trajectory from guys like Raymond and Seider, I guess. Tampa, 3. We're at that point where Tampa's record is 26-4. They've got their eyes firmly focused on getting that third Stanley Cup. So 3. That's it with Tampa. With New Jersey, probably along the same lines as Buffalo and Montreal. They want to see the plan come to fruition. Apparently, Lindy Ruff's firing is out there. Everywhere Lindy Ruff goes, he will hear those. And again, because I saw it in Dallas. Remember when Dallas fired him, and I thought, well, he's not really the problem. I understood why they fired him, but he wasn't really the problem. But yeah, for New Jersey, I think just direction and playoffs. Getting closer to the playoffs for New Jersey. Very, very passionate fan base there, which every team has its passionate fans. But for New Jersey, they're long-suffering as well. So then we move out west. The LA Kings, Byfield's return to health and his trajectory to start going in that direction too. Guys like Turcotte continuing to develop. Durzee's look very good on the blue line. Basically, it's just that all of their prospects who look pretty good continue to make that progression along the way. And just, patience. The Ducks, I think the Ducks right now, their Christmas wish would be, how about playoffs? This has been a very entertaining team to watch. If they get into the playoffs, they could be really tough to beat. In that, you could say, well, if they shut down Zegras and Milano, sure, but there's other parts of the roster that can hurt you too. And John Gibson, it feels like, is a goaltender that at some point his career is going to go on a long run in the playoffs. Maybe this is the year, 2022, right? Dallas, same as Philly, really. It's a consistency issue. If Dallas consistently played the way that they do during their winning streaks, and they're not going to win every game, but if they played that way all the way through, I think they'd have a better record. I think they'd be above the playoff line right now. And so that consistency is really important. And the veterans need to step it up. Guys like Ben, Sagan, Radulov. Offensively, they need to be... They don't have to lead the team because you've got Hintz and you've got Robertson who are capable of it, but they need more from the depth guys. Vancouver, 6 wins in a row under Bruce Boudreau. I think the Canucks fans got their Christmas wish early. A change. And it's not about guys getting fired and all that, just a change. They needed a change. And so we've got that. We've seen changes in the organization. There's discussions of who the assistant GMs might be and who the GM's going to be. And I'm glad we're having that discussion. Because I think that for Vancouver, that you want to talk long-suffering fans. And at some point, I may do a misery index over the next couple of days. I'm considering it. I haven't done a misery index in a very long time. But Vancouver, it's been pretty miserable for quite a while. So I think it would be nice to see. And they don't have to make the playoffs this year. It'd be a bonus if they did. They don't have to. Just to see the right moves being made. And, I don't know, cap room. Just cap space. I'm easily pleased. Cap space would make me very happy as a Canucks fan. Oilers. Scoring depth. Scoring depth's big. And to make sure they have the health, but Yamamoto taking the next step would be a very big Christmas wish. A return to health for Mike Smith as well. And just that consistency. And yeah, that scoring depth. So that when a team has McDavid and Draisaitl shut out, you're still winning games 4-2 because your depth guys showed up. So maybe Fogel's got that going, and he can be part of that. Maybe Yamamoto's getting things going, and Puljujarvi can continue to provide that too, right? St. Louis. For St. Louis, it's tough really to pick one. I know they've gone through a lot of protocol issues this year. Most teams are right now. There's 26 teams with at least one player on the protocol list as I'm recording this. So it's pretty generic to say that's the wish. With St. Louis, though, it feels like this has been stretched out to like last year's playoffs. I think getting David Perron back would be huge. And really, in all honesty, I think for St. Louis, it's about making that push so they can maybe do something in the playoffs this year and show that 2019 was not just a one and done. So St. Louis, that I think might be the plan, might be the wish, right? San Jose, I guess playoffs might be the wish with San Jose. And that Erik Karlsson continues on his trajectory. He's definitely improved this year. There's always going to be flaws in his game defensively, but offensively he's fantastic. And defensively he's been better this year than he was last year. So he really looks to be back to 100%. I think he's been solid. Winnipeg. Can I say consistency again? Winnipeg has been very hit and miss during the year. I don't think that Hellebuck has been the world beater that he's expected to be. And I think that Hellebuck being the world-beating goaltender that he's been, him making fantastic saves and getting them wins that they really probably shouldn't have gotten in previous seasons, Winnipeg's got to figure this out. Now, with Paul Maurice stepping aside, Dave Lowry taking over, there's a chance to bring in new systems and to make things different. So we'll see if Lowry's able to get that done. But for Winnipeg, they should be a playoff team when you look at their roster on paper, and yet right now, they look like they could end up missing those playoffs. Seattle, goaltending. It's weird because during the expansion draft process, we went, well, Grubauer, Drieger, Decord, that's pretty good. That's not bad. You know, it's young, a little bit pricey, but pretty good goaltending. Grubauer was nominated for the Vezina. And Grubauer played very well last year. I know there's still he was playing for Colorado, and so that masked all of his problems. I think Grubauer played very, very well, but he hasn't in Seattle. I can't make the argument that he has in Seattle. And Drieger has had issues with injury and whatnot. So for Seattle, I really think it's goaltending. The rest of their game has been pretty solid. Minnesota, that this momentum continues. This team has been playing so well from the start of the season through now. Kaprizov looks like a superstar in the NHL. That price tag's expensive on his contract, but right now it looks like it's worth it. So Minnesota would just want everything to stay the same. Their wish would be just no adversity from here. We're good. Just leave us be, because it's been a long time since Minnesota was this good. For Vegas, a cup, I guess. We're into year 5, and they're competitive, and now they're back up to the top of the Pacific. I think a Stanley Cup is what the expectation, the hope, the dream is, right? So if there was a wish, I think that would pretty much be it. And of course, wrap Mark Stone in bubble wrap and try to stop him from getting hurt. It feels like he's getting hurt all the time. So there's that. Arizona, prayers that what they're doing right now will bear positive results. So they need to get a bunch of hits at the draft. A win of the draft lottery would be huge for Arizona. and to show that, hey, things are good. Oh, and that the Tempe Arena goes through. The Tempe Arena gets that green light, rubber stamp, and they can go forward with it and go, all right, we're going to be in Tempe. We're still the Arizona Coyotes. Everything's fine. That would absolutely be the Christmas wish. Colorado. For Colorado, goaltending and defense have been questionable with Colorado. So they score a bunch of goals. Part of the reason they score so many goals is because they allow so many goals. So they need those extra goals to catch up and get ahead again. And so for Colorado, even though it might mean they score less, they need to figure out the defensive side of it and bring the goals against down. And the goaltending has been inconsistent. Kemper has had some great games. He's had some iffy games along the way. So they need more from him and just from the blue line in general. Nashville. No snapping to reality, I guess, might be the wish. Because before the season, the expectation was Nashville would be outside the playoffs. And right now they sit very close to first place. They're right behind Minnesota. So for them, I think they would say, all right, for Christmas, our wish would be that things stay on this trajectory. That the winning streak we've been on, that the hot streak we've had going isn't a mirage, and we can keep that going. And to be able to keep everything together next year. Because there always seems to be somebody coming up for free agency with Nashville and or they end up having to trade people. And so I think some consistency there and stability is important for Nashville. Chicago, just to get away from 2021, all the headlines that have been going on, put that in the past as much as they can, and they're not going to be able to with a lot of fans, but just to put that in the rearview mirror and figure out a better way forward in 2022. And to continue to be competitive. If you feel like Marc-Andre Fleury's playing well, maybe try to talk him into coming back for one more year next year. And Fleury's been very good for Chicago. So there's some decisions to make there, right? If they're going to be sellers at the deadline, would that include Fleury? What might they do? And finally, Calgary. With the new building falling through, at this point anyways, the city saying, hey, come on back, we'll talk. The reality is that Calgary does need, I think they need the new building, but they need to come up with this plan and make it work. And whether it's finding another way to get a new building or whether it's making repairs to the Saddle Dome to make it more palatable as a 21st century building and make it so that it generates enough revenues that Calgary's, one of the big revenue teams again in the NHL. Whatever they got to do, get it done, right? And on the ice, maybe, making the playoffs and getting some revenge for being out in the first round a couple of years back when they were the number one team in the West and just couldn't get it done. So maybe some revenge for that. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think that the teams want for Christmas? What would their Christmas wish be? Let me know in the comments section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happen upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.